Hello, and welcome to an adventure like no other. Far more than what you have known, there is something far more to be known than you can ever know. And it is all about you, the real you, your real awareness with your intuitive senses. You were never taught that the real you, your real awareness, is operating 5 bodies in cause and effect, restricting creation. You have been taught to think that you are only a one-dimensional human person, with a mind and emotions, and with a very short lifespan on this planet Earth. More than what your mind can grasp is your intuitive senses that can be opened to see beyond all your restrictions. You have always had an opening to see beyond what you have known, and this has been purposely kept from you, and this is where you have heard rumors and stories about your nightly dreams. Your so-called dreams is your opening to your intuitive senses that will allow you, the personal you, to excel beyond what you have previously known. Everyone has intuitive senses, and very few people take advantage of what is possible by recognizing something more than their mind can understand. Creation has its place for all of us, and then there is all life, which is far more than anything than what can become with creation. Everything we experience is necessary for us to survive with whatever we choose and decide our life to be. New Kevin Smith is the great witness to something more than what can be taught and learned in any school. It can be so that when anyone first listens to Kevin's intuitive side experiences, also known as real side experiences, from what their personal mind has known, Kevin's manner of expression will at first be rather different to comprehend. This is where this introduction and reading the new books and Facebook groups will help. Have fun deciding. Dwayne the Great Writer and Seer.
In this real side experience, I would find myself tumbling down a portal or other, the sensation of emotion, of light, quite the exhilarating journey. As we all are real awareness, which is part of the everything isness, a reality that animates through all consciousness affected form, feature, and creational dimensional position. In actuality, then, every simulated position is available and within the reality of the real awareness. Every dimension and happenstance can be accessed, and a simulated form be placed within them, if indeed it is necessary to do so, if engaging with the participants of the target creational area is required, or an effort to exact changes to the simulated circumstances is the objective. As everything simulated is effected from ideas, like the data that makes up a particular computer game we may wish to play, a case then of the real awareness determining the ideas that are the target location affected, and as these ideas are embraced, so we are their effects. We experience that which is simulated and manifested from them. Really then, we can instantly be placed anywhere creationally on the real side, no mechanism that affords a point-to-point motion required. But through the decided design of a consciousness, so certain means of multi-dimensional travel are in a simulated existence, the portals as an example, and oftentimes we may make use of such mechanisms despite our ability to beam into the desired location simply as an aid to retention of the experience on waking, as traversing via a portal or a spacecraft is more likely to stick in the mind as we return to the physical. Real side experience exaggeration and additional, though not always necessary detail, is an assist where recollection is concerned, and the longer the journey, The more we access the consciousness-decided means of creational traversing, the increased likelihood of encounters with other body types along the way. Every encounter an opportunity to present the new you song, as is our primary objective. I have made mention on a previous real side experiences of the presence of the real side version of the Mexican ranch, which serves much like the real universal university's will, positions of sharing and support for all those on their awareness processes, an afforded position of safe haven, and where many assignments and operations are launched from. For indeed, it would be the Mexican ranch that my portal would terminate at, though looking somewhat different than it had on my previous real side visits, as though a position always in development. Were it not for the presence of DUANE, Val, other new friends I personal self-recognized, and the real awareness impressions providing assurances that this was indeed the real side ranch, visually the personal self wouldn't have realized this to be the case. The ranch had a more vibrant sense about it, as though embodying ever more so the essence and purity of the all is, positions in creation becoming more so aligned with the true reality perhaps, as the beings operating within them assumed greater focus with the years, I would suggest. Additionally, among those I recognized, and others of a more human appearance, would be vast numbers of body forms of all designs and descriptions, all present, embracing of their awareness processes, or they could not have remained in such a position. For as it is intent that affects our experience, our positioning in creation, the extent of our access, or the degree by which we limit ourselves, in reality then we deny ourselves the ability to frequent such positions as the universities or real side ranch. For to access such places, our intent must be aligned more so with the true reality, as these are positions that reflect such an intent placement. If we are personal self-immersed and serving, we effect for ourselves reflected restriction of creational position and limit our multi-dimensional accessibility accordingly. A common expression of a body form I have encountered frequently over the years on the real side, and shared my various experiences in regards to, have been bipedal, two-legged versions of animal forms, that like the reptilians, as two-legged lizards effectively, so we have the bipedal versions of felines, wolf forms, and practically every other animal type. And although I have seen such body forms on the real side ranch previously, I had never seen the volume that now were in residence, a testament and affirmation once again of the sheer numbers of body forms throughout multi-dimensional creation stepping up and deciding to become more aware as moments pass, and facilitating for themselves positions such as the ranch, as they align their intents accordingly, which effect such options. As I made my presence known, so I would be greeted by Val, and he would enquire as to the cost of the flight that brought me to the ranch. I would respond that I had used a portal in actuality, and he would seem incredulous. Over the years, many experiences, as shared by myself and others, have revealed the very possibility of manifesting portals or other means of relatively instantaneous travel at some point on the physical level. And indeed, a number of recent experiences of mine, those that have occurred in an awareness position between the real side and the physical, a position I refer to as the in-between state, have involved portals, their manifestation, the sealing of certain others, etc., as though a practice in readiness for the moment where we may make use of such ability on the physical level. And perhaps this would be another hint suggesting this a possibility, that of my forging portals and exacting a very efficient means of a physical level traversing, no plane ticket necessary. For indeed, DUANE would engage also, and seemed just as taken aback as Val, as I revealed the means by which I had made my appearance on the ranch. Interestingly, DUANE was in an alternative form, still human, though a female, with a darker skin and exceptionally vibrant green eyes. Real awareness impressions would confirm this was the genuine individual, however, but more so one of DUANE's many aspects. As we all are multi-dimensional and have all manner of additional vehicles and aspects we operate simultaneously. I have seen female DUANEs before on the real side, and this version and all aspects of DUANE I have encountered, although with differences appearance-wise, all operate with the same real isness intent, purity and sincerity, the drive and objective to present the all is to every being in creation. I would seat myself at a kind of a banquet table that had been placed in the open, and opposite to me would be sat a human that possessed of remarkable ability, that she could read and analyze the consciousness construct of anyone she encountered, determining every previous experience, including a former lifetime and those yet to come, via intents and ideas being embraced of every individual she engaged with, as though a very adept psychic, for want of a better reference. She would reveal to me all manner of my previous lifetimes, afford insights as to the avenues I would be progressing down, the general theme of experiences I would soon be receiving, and at a certain point I would excuse myself and elect to depart from the ranch for the moment, and utilizing the portal so I would be transported to a position bridging the real side and the physical, the in-between state. As I mentioned earlier, much of the portal activities and practice has been launched from this position, one that bridges the physical and real side, and where I maintain such a position, the physical level bedroom will be the overall scene, but features, elements and body forms operating in their respective other dimensional real side positions can feature, as though bleeding over from the real side. In this case, the in-between position had my portal maintained, and now the psychic female from the ranch would utilize the portal that connected the ranch to my current position and manifest in my room, not physically, but as a bleed-over real side feature, though potentially some beings can utilize the portals we forge, be they purposely created or accidental, to fully manifest on the physical, if only temporarily. For it seemed I had departed the ranch prematurely, and she was so adamant in finishing her psychic reading of my consciousness, that she had followed me back and would complete it now, eventually fading from the room when her decided task was achieved. From the in-between state, I now would transition my awareness fully onto the real side and find myself in the presence of a group of individuals. We were positioned on a plateau, high up a mountain, overlooking the valleys and natural environments below. I once shared a real side experience many years ago that I called the Real Side Dojo, where I would frequent a martial arts training class. The representation was that of honing our intent, focus with the ears, that the idea of martial art practice can be representational and symbolic of the kind of discipline required where our all ears focus and intent is concerned. This would be a similar situation, and although this is the first time my personal self has experienced this particular martial arts training and its mountain location, impressions revealed this has been a frequent real side activity, representing the honing of isness focus as I mentioned, and this was simply the first time my personal self had been shown this focus training and representing a view. On every prior occasion, the training had been conducted by a particular individual, that as this was representational of isness focus, naturally it would follow that the martial art teacher would be a guide. But here impressions would reveal that an alternative teacher had taken the previous one's place. On the surface, simply a case perhaps of a different guide taking the reins as it were, although as the training began it would be completely at odds visually to how it had previously been. As I mentioned, this was purely a symbolic situation. Impressions then of the martial art practice being one that wasn't representational of the awareness process, as it had always previously been, but something altogether different and misaligned with the real intent of ears recognition. As a consequence, I would refuse to participate. The alternative training would cease, all eyes were upon me, that of the other students and the replacement teacher, but then the original martial arts teacher would manifest. Impressions revealing he was indeed a real guide, and he would verify that the current training was a distortion, and the teacher therefore promoting it, some kind of dark force deceptor. Maybe then this was a test in a sense, for the purposes of determining my ability to recognize it as being a distorted version of the genuine martial arts, all is a focus representing a training. That the new teacher was indeed a dark force character with the intent to deceive, and as I looked around the students, so impressions unavailing, they either were additional dark force agents, masquerading the roles of what had been up until this point fellow students, others on their awareness processes, or perhaps awareness becoming individuals unable to recognize the deception and thus duped by it. All this would represent ideas as decided and created that the guide, the actual martial arts teacher, could simply make use of as a kind of test of my recognitional prowess. For the guides will create certain of our real side experiences, but just as readily will make use of what has already been created, placing us in situations and where, unbeknownst to the dark force and unaware participants, the ill-intended actually will be assisting us with our awareness process therefore. The real guide would fade from the scene, and with my determining of this martial arts training being a deception, so the fake teacher and the students would all elect to attack me. Oftentimes the dark forces will set up situations on the real side to lure us in, presenting on occasion what seem to be on the surface ideas created by the hands of the guides, but as we then engage openly, if indeed we are deceived, we thus are agreeing with the idea and the ill-intended consciousness that manifested it, and the affected experiences we manifest for ourselves will be in reflected unsavoury accordance. That I had recognised the ruse, so the next recourse seemed to be to assail me. But as I often mention, as everything we experience is based on what we decide, this includes the impact others can have on our body forms. We all set the parameters by which others can operate in relation to ourselves. The ideas must be consciousness present that dictate the effect by which we can be harmed or eliminated by others. Absent of the idea, and despite the best efforts of others, they will be unable to exact harm or destruction upon us. The awareness process does involve a facing and releasing of all our consciousness idea agreements, including those in relation to others, and their ability to impact us adversely, and as we proceed therefore with our journeys of eventual recognition, we become progressively more indomitable in creation. For if I hold to no ideas, I can be the effect of nothing unless I consciously decide this to be. In this case, the faked martial arts teacher and the students, the vast majority, very likely dark force deceptors also, would bring black magical skills to the fore, assailing me with their powers, but lacking agreements in regards to their ability to eradicate me. I would defend myself with visually what seemed to be magic of my own, and an almighty skirmish would ensue as we exchanged fireballs, lightning strikes, all very spectacular to experience. I would retreat from the mountain plateau under continuous magical fire, and accessing a cave entrance, so would make my way through its gloomy depths. The sense was that although I had repelled the dark force attack, I was in some way defeated. In reality, as the deciders, if we manifest the circumstances of defeat, in whatever form and expression this may take, these are ideas we have taken on, and impressions suggested I had embraced a self-defeating, debilitating idea through my ordeal, though precisely what wasn't made apparent. In reality, the journey of recognition involves a creational process that demands objective indifference where every experience, regardless of its nature, is concerned, that we endeavour to not latch on to any idea as we proceed, lest we be retained as the effects, and to stand as the real awareness beings of light that we are. So we must maintain nowness positions divorced of any idea attachment. But there will be moments where we do generate considerations, attitudes and reactions in relation to that which we experience, and these ideas, if held to, are just as creationally binding as the ideas which were the experiences themselves. This seemed to be the case here. I had formulated certain ideas in response to the ordeal on the mountain that I was currently clinging to, the overwhelming sense of they being self-defeating, as in reality all ideas held to will be, and now I would be ascending a winding narrow stone staircase, within a dark tower of a kind. As I reached the top, I would encounter the genuine martial arts teacher again, the guide, and he would determine my recognition of the situation, a test I successfully passed, though ideas I had formulated in addition that were self-limiting. He would now reveal a large voluminous tome, placing it upon a table between us. Its contents chronicled that which I had already experienced, and also was as yet to experience, that which would be required for my continued awareness process. That although no words were spoken, impressions I received from him would be as though the questioning of if I desired to continue on and indeed open the next chapter of the book. He would place 2 figurines, fashioned from green jade, on the table additionally, both representing him and myself, and the further impressions of him enquiring of me, that of if we will continue my awareness process with his guidance, or will we fall, and for emphasis, he would push the figurines with his fingers, and they would topple onto their sides. I'm uncertain as to the nature of the self-limiting ideas I had taken on, but I had the sense that it wasn't anything especially difficult to release, just a little notion I had embraced by way of reaction to my experience, but it would seemingly take the moments to release that it would. The scene would fade, and I would be sitting beside DUANE, in his usual physical level form, and he would be lightening the mood somewhat with his sense of humour. For sometimes we can take our experiences and ourselves too seriously. I am certainly guilty of that, and DUANE's joking would certainly assist in my seeing the irrelevancy of the experience, and indeed that of any creationally based idea, all as simply viewpoint comparison references in relation to that which is real, all life and awareness.
What a sweetheart that Kevin is. He's just very exceptional, how he stepped up and decided to do this, and by the very fact that he did, everything became enhanced since he met us a whole lot more. So he had practiced certain things, and with the real guidance, it became a whole lot better into this exceptional person that he is today, and will continue to be so and more so. Yeah, and as the overall focus is the isness, etc. Yeah, very, very important, because that's all that is. Yeah, it's so cool, and it's very needed, because this world, just trying to get through to people in the simplest ways, it's very difficult, because since birth we've been handed a script, just like if we were to rehearse a part in the movies, but we don't see it that way because we have not been taught how to be objective. We've been taught to not pay attention to what we're thinking and doing and acting. And so again, this is where people are confused when they're confronted by the fact of what they're actually doing and thinking and seeing and deciding and agreeing to. They don't get it, because they go to their literal mind instead, or some belief idea, whatever, some idea. And so again, we've all been handed scripts in the beginning from our parents, our teachers, whoever, saying, and they're just stories and rumors, is really all they are. Because as we're little children, we don't have any experience. We're just sitting there like kind of duh, like, okay, all right, that's that. Mommy and daddy said so. Or my friend said so. Or, you go to school and you hear these things, and, they're just stories and rumors. But people base their lives upon that. And then they all fit into the shuffle that's going on called life here, whatever it is. It's like a big cafeteria, and we're constantly looking for what else, we can chew on. And so it's a funny, funny place. But this has nothing to do with what life is. It's just that we're here in this situation until we really wake up. And so again, as the new presentation has matured, and from what I see of it, manage it, etc., we definitely move away from anything that's ever been created here, no matter what is in history. It's just a lot of baloney and made up stuff, because it's all about waking up. And so the position gets more and more precise. It just is automatically that way, because that's how I see it. And so again, you have to learn to see it. And so the ideas that people have, that's not it. That's why they come and go. And that's why their personal lives are like they are, because they're set in their old scripts. And you've just been told stories like actors. And, it's rather interesting how, people that act and make a lot of so-called made-up money seem to be very special people. Well, they are in people's minds only. But it's all about awareness, isn't it? And identifying with that. That's what makes sense until you don't need the bodies, you don't need the mind or any of this nonsense. That you're just awesome beings with what life is. You're supporting life as it really is, because this is where Paul referred to life is all about survival. It's not about survival here. This is just dealing with whatever. Okay, this is the environment. But it's survival and awareness, and stepping up and taking part in that and seeing what real survival is. And that's with your awareness, has nothing to do with your personal mind. But it takes the experiences to be decided upon to activate that awareness into paying attention to what makes sense and what is real. And this takes a lot to do that, because it's all invisible. And this is where it's very few people can see it. And it really does take a while. It's not about time. It's about learning to see each new moment how it really is, how it already is. And that's a lot, because it's invisible according to the script we've been handed and have to deal with and refer to. And so it's easier to go to the personal self and the old script, because that's all it is. It's all made up. Anybody can look at their personal life and see how they've been told stories and rumors since they came here. You didn't know anything. You were told stories and rumors until you've grown up and, again, just kind of fit in with, whatever's decided and created here as something. It's a funny place, creation. It really is. But it's very necessary, because I see it as it's 100% vital to us to be able to recognize what's going on, and at the same time be indifferent to it and to recognize it for what it is, and not thinking that it's something else. So it's just great that Kevin's here and that he's sharing that, and anybody else that does, because all these viewpoints really matter. And being realistically, accurate with what all life is, and that is that it's endless. Who can say? Who can say when it is that you really see it? Yeah. Far out stuff.